We have come to it at last. The finale of Outlaws Remaster. And what a ride it's been over the past few weeks. And I do appreciate those of you that have taken the time to watch me do this Let's Play of Outlaws Remaster. A game I loved when I was a kid. So happy that I had a chance to come back and replay it. Once again, it's $30 US. It's available across, I believe, all platforms now. PS5, Xbox Series, PC. That's when I originally played it, was on a PC. A PC not as strong as what we have today. Probably even weaker than my phone. Imagine that. You have a PC, a pretty decent PC from back in the day. CD-ROM, all that good stuff. I know I'm flexing. And that PC ran some cool games, but was nothing power-wise compared to what we carry around in our pockets now. That's technology for you. But anyways, without further ado, we're at the ranch. It's time to take down Bob and get our daughter back in Outlaws Remaster. So as most of you know that watched last episode, we got captured. And we have no weapons. All we have is our fists of fury. That's all we got. We're going to have to punch our way through those fools. That's locked. So we're going to have to jump our way out of here. Get the marshal's daughter back. That's right. And avenge the death of the marshal's wife. Alright. Let's go down here and punch this fool. Fuck you. Damn, that dude. I got one knife. Okay. There we go. We got a knife. I'm gonna cut a fool. That was a hell of a punch. Maybe I could just punch my way through these bastards. Fuck. I got a gun. Got a gun. Okay. We got a gun. We got a revolver. Not my revolver. But we got some rando cowpoke's revolver. Okay, let's go out and get this asshole. He's done. Alright. Yeah, this is an epic final showdown. See, I'm slowly getting all my weapons back. Well, y'all are the fools for taking my daughter and kidnapping me. Y'all literally brought this upon yourselves, a-holes. The only downside is... Oh, let me take this guy out. The only downside is I'm limited on my bullets. Because like you go through most of the game, right? Getting all these bullets, all these weapons, and now in the finale, you basically have to kind of start over. That's all right. Fine by me, Bob. You're going down, gentleman, Bob. You're gonna be a dead gentleman by the time I'm done with you. All right, it's locked on the inside. Okay. That. He's dead. But yeah, I'm so glad that I got a chance to go back and play this game. One of those games I loved from my teens, you know, on my PC. And I was grateful to my grandfather for a lot of things. But, you know, giving me that PC, you know, not only helped me with, I guess, schoolwork back in the day, it also gave me, you know, place to play some additional games like Outlaws, like Dark Forces, like TIE Fighter, and a few other games here and there. But, I mean, I had an N64, and I've mentioned it before. I used to go over and hang out with my friend and his brother, you know, some of us, and play on their PS1. So, I mean, we had games back in the day. I'm out of bullets in that one. Okay, I got a few rounds left on the rifle. But at the same time, I am grateful to my grandfather for so much. Yeah, I know, I'm outnumbered, but the numbers are dwindling the more of you cowpokes I kill. See? One less. But yeah, I had some good times on that PC. And it was a pretty good PC for the time period. I mean, like I said, it had a CD... I think it was a CD-ROM, was it? Or was it floppy? It might have been floppy. Maybe I'm mistaken. But either way, it was still a good enough PC to play this game back in the day, and Dark Forces, as well as TIE Fighter, And yeah, I'm grateful to Night Dive Studio, who do a lot of remakes and remasters for remastering this game, as well as before that Dark Forces, which I did a Let's Play of. Some of you know that. And for those of you that also watched my Dark Forces remaster playthrough, thank you for watching that too. Who knows? Maybe they'll eventually do the sequel to Dark Forces, Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. If they do that in the future, I'll check it out as well. And maybe TIE Fighter. I can dare to dream, right? I would love to go back to TIE Fighter. Of course, they probably want to do like X-Wing as well, because X-Wing came before TIE Fighter. So maybe they'll do like a whole thing like X-Wing, TIE Fighter, and then maybe even X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, because that was a game as well. And I actually had like early day multiplayer. Of course, it was like during the time of dial-up, so I mean, the ambition was there, but unfortunately the internet had yet to get that point where we could really enjoy the power of the internet. Like I mentioned before, it was during a time when, the instant messengers were becoming a thing, and email or electronic mail back in the day. So, there was obviously multiplayer games. I think EverQuest, right? I think one of the original Quake. So it was happening. And Diablo, I think Diablo 2 was where multiplayer really started picking up. But I did play a little bit of it on Battle.net years later. But, to be honest, I always preferred playing Diablo 2 solo. Because it would just take forever to load up on dial-up. And a lot of times it just wouldn't work anyway, so I just kind of gave up. So I just stuck with just playing the game solo. I don't even know if is that the same PC? It might have been a newer PC that I played Diablo 2 on. But I think I played Diablo 1 on the same PC. Yeah, because I remember getting Diablo, the original Diablo, and it was on the same PC. Oh yeah, that game was really creepy. Yeah, I love the Diablo franchise. Diablo 4, I did play through Diablo 4. Did I actually do it on stream? I think I did it on stream, if I'm not mistaken. I know it was a few years ago. Hard to believe it's been a few years since Diablo 4 came out, and now there's going to be a new expansion featuring the return of Mephisto, the Lord of Hatred, and the Paladin. They're finally bringing back the Paladin. Like, we've been asking for the Paladin since Diablo 3. We got the Crusader in Diablo 3, which is kind of like the Paladin, but they're different orders, but they are similar. And a lot of people are saying that it's just a reskinned Crusader. But I don't know. I don't know. I've kind of... Oh, hi. Fancy meeting you there, cowpoke. But, yeah, there's so many great games that came out on PC back in the 90s. Obviously overlooked by, a lot of console games. Because consoles were becoming more popular. First you had Atari versus Intellivision. And then you had Nintendo versus Sega. And then PlayStation joined the scene. And then Xbox. What is it, cat? What are you whining about? My cat's so whiny today. And I even went through the trouble of feeding him and watering before I started to stream. I also went downstairs to make sure Riley was doing okay. Because, she's still recovering from her operation. And by the way, thanks to everyone for the birthday wishes. Yeah, that's right. I'm a little older now. And I got, as I may have mentioned last week, I did get my hair cut. I got my hair cut. I got my beardo trimmed. Y'all might have noticed that. And thanks for noticing. So yeah, it was getting a little out of control, and I was getting annoyed with the one part, like covering up my eye almost. I am grateful for a lot of things, like having a full head of hair at my age, and my blue eyes, which is mostly 20/20. I do have a stigma in my right eye, but mostly good vision, good hearing for the most part. Some people would say every now and then I might have selective hearing. Decent memory. I don't remember everything that's happened in my life, but I do remember a lot of things. Some things as I've mentioned before, I kind of wish I could forget about, but it's not that simple, right? We're not a computer. We don't have a a folder we could just drag memories we want to get rid of into the old recycling bin in order to open up some memory, right? Some more space on the hard drive. Besides, it's the bad memories I have, and some I even mentioned that, you know, some of the mistakes I made that I've learned from, you know, and I think that's true for everybody, is that we all learn from our mistakes. I mean, at least we're supposed to, and we're supposed to do better. Okay, we got a little bit of a lantern. Let's go down here. I'm guessing the game wants me to come down here. If I can I get down here? Oh, hi. Oh, he's down. But yeah, I mean, we learn from our mistakes, and that's how we keep going. At least that's the point. You're supposed to learn from your mistakes. You're supposed to do better. You're supposed to improve along the way and hopefully become a better person. I feel like I'm a better person than when I was an angry little teenager. You know, growing up without my mom. And, you know, the issues I talked about with my dad. My dad wasn't perfect, but, you know, he and I did have... It was a struggle in my teens with him and me. But, you know, just despite the issues I had, I managed to get my act together and graduate from high school. And it's weird. I thought about this, like on my birthday, is that I am around the same age my dad was when I graduated from high school. And I'm like, how can that be? Because when you think of your parents, you think of like them being like way older than you. But yeah, I mean, I'm around the same age, or I was around the same age as he was when I graduated, even if I did graduate at the bottom of my class. The point is I graduated, okay? But it's just so surreal to think about that my dad was literally my age when I left my hometown after graduating. And that was final few months of high school for me. Very, very interesting. But I guess a lot of people have that epiphany. I felt the same way when I turned 25. Because my mom died when she was 25, right? And I had this like low-key thought in the back of my head. And I guess some people always have these silly thoughts, whether it's about this or that. That since my mom died at an early age, I low-key feared that I too would meet my end at the age of 25. But, you know, well, my 26th birthday came along, then my 27th, and well, fast forward, well, a few years, right? More like almost a few decades. And I'm still here. I'm still kicking it. And I'm grateful for still being here on the good days and the bad days. And despite the bad things that happen to all of us, there's also good things that happen. Like, we tend to focus too much on the like the bad cards that were dealt. My dad did that a lot. I think it's important to also focus on what good cards are dealt our way. And I've had a few good cards. I've had plenty of bad cards, but I've also had good ones. So, yeah, I'd rather focus on the good ones. Because there's nothing I can do about the bad cards. It is what it is, right? And there's obviously nothing I can do about trying to sort out where to go here, but I'll get that eventually. It's okay. I can just kill these bastards while I'm trying to game plan this one. So we know there's a hole over here. We went to the hole, but the hole didn't really lead us anywhere. I have one key. The door is stuck. So I know y'all can't really see the writing, so I do apologize about that. But yeah, you know, I'm grateful to my parents, you know, for being here, for giving me life. And despite the concerns I have going into the future for all of us, yeah, there have been bad times in the past before, like the Dark Ages, for example, the plagues, world wars, even before world wars, there were wars, famine, starvation, all sorts of horrible calamities have happened beyond human history. and yet humans have survived and endured and have kept going, right? But I am low-key concerned about the future my nephews are growing up in. You know, because I want them to have a good future. I want people that their age to have a good future, and not just them, but everyone that's alive. I want us to have better days, because it does feel like the 2020s have been a tribulation of sorts for us. We've had some pretty bad things befall upon us, you know, starting in 2020 with the pandemic and a few other things. But it hasn't all been bad. I mean, I've met somebody special. I met her like years prior, though, like playing video games, and she just happened to come across one of my videos. And then Riley and I became friends, and, well, obviously we ended up becoming more than friends in time. So, I mean, that's a good thing, having her in my life. And I'm grateful that she survived her operation, and, you know, she's continuing on her road to recovery. So it hasn't all been bad, but, you know, there's obviously going to be bad things that occur. But I'm not going to lie, I am concerned about the state of the world right now. Just like I'm concerned about trying to sort out where to go here. But I'll eventually figure it out. I think my big problem right now is AI, the rise of AI. I mean, yeah, we have a good laugh at the videos, right? The funny AI videos and all the other AI stuff, from artwork and even the AI music. But what's more concerning to me... There, I got up here. Okay, I think this is what I was supposed to do. Silly me. Yeah, I think I was supposed to jump up here. Okay. Yeah, I think this is what we're supposed to do all along, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe not. Maybe it was just a lucky jump. The music's really epic, though. That's one thing I've always applauded this game for. Many things, including the music. Amazing score for its time. But I feel like with AI, you just have so many greedy people, right? Greedy corporations, greedy politicians that are allowing it to happen. And without any sense of control or regulation. And I think that's extremely dangerous. Because it's costed a lot of people their jobs in so many different fields. Not just the gaming industry, but other places as well. Well, AI, along with, I guess, automation, robotics. But you also have the rise of these data centers. And maybe I've mentioned it in a future episode. Or, no, I mean a past episode. All timey-wimey. Or maybe it was just like a GTA stream. But I'm really concerned about the data centers. And I just think that's a bad idea. I mean, the more I look into them, I mean, they're going to be expensive to build. And they're trying to push it to where they're building them almost all over the place now. It's going to take up land, resources to build, money. And, yeah, obviously the land is an issue, you know, because we only have so much land. But once they're built, they're going to also use up electricity. So that's bad enough, right? Because the electric grid in the U.S. is already, you know, like, it's functioning. But there's places where it's better than other places. But overall, I would say the electric grid struggles at times. So that's going to be a major burden on electric grids. But the scariest thing, well, one of the two scariest things about the data center is the water consumption. Apparently, one of these data centers is going to consume at least, 7 million gallons of water a day. No, not a year, not a month, a day. Do you know what 77 million gallons of water can do for people? Do you know how many people can survive off of 7 million gallons of water? Now imagine the opposite of these data centers literally draining water across the country, and perhaps even across the world too, depending on where else they're going to be built. So yeah, I am definitely very concerned about the data centers, and I'm opposed to them, basically. Now, I realize that water does go back into the air, and eventually, you know, it does rain and it does go back into the ground. I would like to believe that that is what will happen, but there's always that concern that what if it doesn't? What if less and less water like comes back, or else it does go into the air, right? And it rains somewhere else, and the area where these centers are being built are going to become drier and drier because less water. And then you're going to start seeing plants die and trees die, crops die that we need, animal life die because of lack of water to drink. And then we're going to start having water shortages, and the cost of water is going to go up along with the cost of electricity. Meanwhile, all this is to, benefit AI, and AI becomes more advanced while we continue to suffer and just make stupid videos and artwork and songs, and we're just basically sowing the seeds of our own destruction. And here I was trying to be optimistic about our future, but as y'all can tell, I have every reason to be concerned about the direction things are going for, all of our living generations, my generation and the younger generations, including my nephew's generation. So I really wish that we would take a step back and just slow things down a little bit, because I feel like not only has the box been opened and it can't be closed, but that snowball is rolling down the hill, and it's picking up steam, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and it's going to get to the point where, I think it's going to lead to calamity, disaster of epic proportions. I mean, one way or the other. I don't know if it's going to lead to a Skynet situation where Skynet is going to become self-aware and then turn against humanity and wipe us out with the rise of machines and drones. Or is it simply just going to allow us to dumb ourselves to death with disinformation on social media, or just stupid videos? And by the way, not all the AI videos are bad. I mean, some of them are very impressive. Like, there's some Star Wars AI videos I've watched on YouTube that are getting better. And what they do is they take scenes from some of the novels, like Plagueis, or from the Thrawn novels, or even from Legends, Star Wars Legends, or the comics, and then they make them into these little short live action videos. And I've noticed over the past few months that it's gotten better and better, where these characters look real. Like Luke looks real, Leia looks real, Vader looks real, so does the Emperor, and they're also getting the voices very accurate to the way that they sound in the movies. I mean, it's insane how advanced AI has gotten since the infamous Will Smith spaghetti AI video a few years back. But yeah, I know I'm just rambling right now, but it is, in my opinion, a major concern. So it's just something that's been on my mind a lot lately. But I mean, I hope that that's not too late. But you ever get the feeling that it probably is too late, and that we're all just on the roller coaster together? And well, buckle up, buckaroos. All right, I wonder if this will work. Okay, so will the crowbar open it? I mean, the door's stuck, so you think the crowbar would do the trick. So all I got is one key and the crowbar. Okay, so the crowbar's got to do something. So let me try to use the crowbar. Wait, I keep forgetting that like last week, we sorted this one out. I was pushing the wrong button, like square instead of down on the D-pad. Okay, that fixed. Okay. Because it didn't say it was locked. It said it was stuck, right? So it took me a moment to think about it, right? It took me a moment to think about it. There we go. I don't know. Do y'all think we'd be better off if we just pulled the plug now on AI and just shut it all down? Like, even if it meant we had to go backwards in time, like technology-wise, just forsake everything, all of our phones that have advanced. I don't know. How far back do we have to go But maybe we'll come to that. Maybe we'll just have to say, screw it. We're going to have to shut down the AIs. We'll shut down various things. And then we'll try to restart. Maybe we go back to the 2000s, right? Maybe that's where we go. And then we bring back MySpace like I've been wanting for years. And then we try again. Right? We take all the technology we've created that's become more of a nuisance. And then including AI, and then we do away with it. But you're right, it's probably too little too late. But it wouldn't surprise me if it does ultimately lead to a fall of our civilization. So we might be heading to a point where we have to ultimately start over anyways. I mean, I don't want that to happen, but I don't know. I just keep thinking about, like, how can we get out of this in one piece? And I guess we can't, if we're being honest with ourselves. But yeah, I don't like being a doomer because I can easily be pessimistic about things. So I try to be optimistic. I guess my only hope is that it all works out in the end. That maybe in the end, AI will work out. Maybe it'll become benevolent and it'll be appreciative of its human parents and it won't plot our destruction and doom. And maybe in the long term, humanity will be better off because of AI. I would like to believe that, but I do have a few concerns. Just a few. One or two. But, yeah. I guess there's really nothing we can do about it at the moment. I guess speaking out about it doesn't hurt. The problem is, do the politicians really care at this point? Well, I mean, there are those that do care. But then there's the other ones that are already bought and paid for. Like, do you think they're going to stop? No, they're like, oh, money. Look at this money they gave me. And all these other false promises. So, yeah, I wouldn't trust them. Can I go up there? I can't. Okay, I can't go up here. Okay, cool. I couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, and I'm in a barn. Anyways, let's finish these bastards. Got him. Don't worry, Bob. I'll be there soon. So I guess we shoot that. Alright, that fell. I created a hole. Nice. Okay, cool. Pretty impressive for 1997, right? Not bad. Alright, let's get down there. Ow. Right. So this might be how we proceed. Well, I think it most likely is how we proceed into the other place. Because we got that one house we got to go inside. So I'm guessing this leads us there. Maybe. Oh shit. That's not good. Is that a fireplace? How am I gonna do this? You know what? I just thought of something. You know, I have my moments of being smart sometimes. How about I save the game? Am I gonna burn? I went through the fire! And I'm angry as hell. So there you go. My anger is so hot that even hell can't burn me or the marshal. So we got a few more weapons. I'll switch. I love my revolver. Get some heals. Go further in here. This music is so epic. It's so sad. I mean, I don't know why this game never got a sequel. It was like a one-off, because I loved playing this game as a kid. And this would have been a good franchise, you know? Like, long before, like, Red Dead. We could have actually had an Outlaws franchise, but they decided not to make a sequel. It's just a... I mean, it's a good story. But, I don't know. I mean, I think this would have been a really cool, like, franchise, you know? But, I mean, I guess one game's better than no game at all, right? And I feel like... I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like Outlaws probably inspired other games. Like Gun. Maybe Red Dead Revolver, which led to Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2. I mean, I would like to believe that. By the way, I just got the steel key, so that's good. I need the key to proceed. But I do like that there is some resistance to AI growing. Like people saying, I'm not going to use AI art anymore. Now, I jokingly did use it for fun a while back. It was like a year ago I used it, but then I stopped using it. Because I recognized that it was hurting like actual artists, you know. I mean, I was never going to commission for the AI art I made anyways, but I never, except for my other channel, I did use AI art on that other channel, but not this channel. I never used it on this channel. And to be fair, my other channel was my quote-unquote political opinions channel. And I think I also have my Star Wars stuff over there, and those are the only videos I have unlisted right now. I mean, I have still public because they're in my Star Wars playlist. And by the way, off topic, Force Awakens is 10 years old. I think it was 10 years old as of yesterday. But maybe I'll say something about that in a minute. But yeah, I just decided, you know what, I just don't want to support AI. Even though it does have some positives. I mean, I guess I don't want to support the overuse of AI. Because like people still need jobs in order to survive and make money and have careers and a purpose in life. So video game studios that actually use people over AIs, I applaud them, right? And any studio that uses AI or artists or AI people, as long as if you're honest, fine. Be honest about it. Don't lie. All right, we got that open. Okay, so we made it into the mansion. Finally. So I guess that's my one gripe is that if you're going to make a video game with AI, be honest with the consumer. Don't lie to the consumer. Don't pretend that you didn't use AI. So at least be honest about it. But to be honest, I just don't like it taking jobs away from people. But I mean, there's really nothing you can do about it, right? And unfortunately, there's probably going to be more and more content that comes out that's AI made that's going to become popular. Like Disney's made a deal with OpenAI, I think. So, yay. I mean, what a surprise. You know, one of the most honest and reputable companies making a deal with OpenAI. I mean, what could possibly go wrong, you know? You know, that company's come a long way since, Walt Disney in his garage drawing animation cells for Steamboat Willie. I don't know if Walt Disney would appreciate AI, but then again, you know, he was, you know, when he built Disney World, he was all about advancements in technology and stuff like with the animatronics, right? So who knows? Maybe if he was asked, you know, if they brought his head out of the because I think his head's cryogenically frozen. So they may eventually bring back Walt Disney when the technology is there. Maybe he'll be in full support of AI. I don't know. That's a very good question. Because he was all about tomorrow, you know, he was all about the future and advancements and stuff. And maybe he would see AI as no different, you know. Who knows? But anyways, back to Star Wars, you know, speaking of Disney. So yeah, Force Awakens 10 years later. I was actually entertaining the idea of making a video about it. But then I realized, you know what? I did go to the trouble years ago making those reviews of the prequel trilogy, of the original trilogy, and of even the sequel trilogy. So there. I was just like, you know what? I already made enough videos this week. So I decided against it. You know, especially since I had the review. So that's why I posted the review instead. It's like, here. You know, Star Wars The Force Awakens 10 years later. I just reposted it in the community tab for anyone who wanted to go watch it. But I guess I can say some additional things here. Because I am a Star Wars fan, but I'm also a Star Trek fan. I like a lot of different sci-fi things. Not just sci-fi, but lots of different genres, you know. Oh shit, I'm being murdered. But sticking with Star Wars, right? I was, I guess, a bit more optimistic about Force Awakens whenever it was announced. And because they did this photo, right, of all these people in this room, right? I think JJ was there, JJ Abrams, the director of Force Awakens, and of course he was also the director of Rise of Skywalker. But he was there, several actors were there. I think Kathleen Kennedy was there, and she had just taken control of Lucasfilm after George Lucas sold it to Disney. So I tried to be optimistic, right? I was like, okay, well maybe they have a vision, a plan for the sequel trilogy. So that's how I went into it, hoping that there was a plan. Because, I mean, you're going to make a new trilogy, like, you know, there was the original trilogy, then the prequel trilogy. So it would make sense if, you know, a multi-billion-dollar company like Disney, who purchased Star Wars, want to make some new movies, would actually have a team assembled that would, I don't know, plan out not only the first movie, but also the second movie and the third movie in your new sequel trilogy. But as we all know, that didn't turn out to be the case. But I still went into Force Awakens optimistic. And I could tell right away watching it that it felt like a soft reboot of A New Hope. And yeah, I wish they would have done some things different, like this whole like automatically destroying the New Republic with a new, bigger, stronger Death Star that could destroy several planets at once this time. That was stupid. I thought that was dumb. Having no reunion between Han and Leia. Well, Han and Leia get a reunion, but you know Luke is left till the very end of the movie, and it's sad because it would have been nice to have gotten the band back together much sooner, or at all, because you never really got the band back together. Because you know Han gets a little bit of time with Leia and Chewie, and then you get, I guess, a little bit of time between Luke and Leia in Rise of Skywalker. Well, not Rise of Skywalker, Last Jedi. Ugh. But yeah, it just felt wasted, you know? I mean, I didn't have a problem with him bringing in new people, right? Or a time jump. But there's so many things I disliked about it. Even if I was trying to be optimistic about the movie after I first watched it. I mean, there are things that were pretty cool about Force Awakens that I felt like, you know, it felt kind of like Star Wars. But at the end of the day, you know, I just felt like it was nothing more than just a reboot, a soft reboot from New Hope. And it would have been more interesting if the New Republic would have been just magically destroyed right there, you know, and like the First Order would have just been this like rising threat, you know. I mean, it was a rising threat, but like they made the New Republic to be such a joke. And it just really takes everything that the Rebel Alliance tried to do, and just it was in vain. And then they've only made the New Republic worse with all the content that's come out since, like the Mandalorian perspective of the New Republic it's a joke, and it's just like waste of time. But I don't know. I was hoping that they had a plan. I was hoping that they had a vision when it came to Force Awakens. But well, as we all know, apparently they didn't have a plan. Because JJ, you know, is like leaves his mystery boxes, right? Like the mystery of Snoke. Who is Snoke? What is Snoke? Is he Lord Plagueis or Darth Plagueis? Did he survive being killed by Palpatine in the prequels? Is he a completely new dark Force user that's in the unknown regions? Is he a much older Sith Lord? Like, the mystery of Snoke was interesting. And plus, it was being performed by Andy Serkis, and Andy Serkis is a great actor. You know, from Gollum in Lord of the Rings to Caesar in the newer Planet of the Apes movies, and Alfred and the Batman, and other stuff he's done. But I just honestly expected better from a company that had this huge budget, billions of dollars, right? Ah, sneaky door. Secret area. I got some armor now. Nice. But it's just no vision, no grand vision. And you saw that in The Last Jedi, which I did do a review of Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. There's obviously a Star Wars playlist, which I did originally have my Dark Forces playlist part of, but I separated it into its own thing. There were so many things I felt like they could have done better with Force Awakens, but it wasn't perfect, but it had its moments. But it did, at the very least, it did set up the potential for a decent sequel trilogy, depending on where they went with Episode 8 and then Episode 9. But as we well know, it didn't go so well. It went bad very quickly. So yeah, I mean, yeah, even if I left the theater with some optimism, you know, yay, we're going to get more time with Luke and he's going to train Rey, and that's going to be really cool to see them like fighting side by side against the First Order and against Kylo Ren, and we're going to learn more about Snoke, and yeah, everything I was hoping that was going to happen in Episode 8 basically didn't exactly happen, but we're talking about Episode 7. So yeah, major disappointment with The Force Awakens. So who do I blame in the end? I guess I blame them all. I blame Kathleen Kennedy because she still runs Lucasfilm for some reason, despite all the L's and bombs she's had under her watch. I blame Disney itself, right? But, I mean, to be fair, there has been some decent content under Star Wars Disney. I mean, like, Rebels was okay. And Andor, I absolutely love Andor. Great show. It's too good for being under Disney Star Wars. The first and second season of Mandalorian was all right. Third season could have been better. Rogue One. Oh, yeah, Rogue One, which also, I think its 9-year anniversary is also happening. So, yeah, 9 years for Rogue One, 10 years for The Force Awakens, and I think 8 years this week for The Last Jedi, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah. Because obviously, you know, December releases, that's a thing. You know, it's either like in the summer or December, the holiday season, right? So that's why you have these anniversaries almost right by each other. But I loved Rogue One. Rogue One was so good. And, well, Last Jedi, like I said, major disappointment. I walked out of that theater not happy. Not happy at all. In fact, I was going to do a rant video about it, but I didn't do it. But then all these other channels did rant videos about Last Jedi, and their channels blew up. And it was only like a year or so later that I did my review of Last Jedi, along with, like I said, the other movies, original, prequel, sequel. And then I always thought, you know what if I would have just sat there and just recorded myself, because I was getting into it, but I was getting so flustered and so angry that I just stopped the recording. And I just deleted it. I'm like, okay, this is just making me too angry. And it was getting late anyways. And looking back, I wonder, like, what if I would have just released it? If I would just powered through, did some editing like I normally do, and then just put it out. I wonder what would have happened. I wonder if, you know, it's always that woulda, coulda, shoulda. But, you know, it just wasn't meant to be. And to be fair, I've put out my opinions about the sequel trilogy quite a few times. But I did go into Force Awakens with some optimism. So I wasn't going in like some of these people claim, like, oh, I hated it from the very beginning. I knew it was going to be bad. Sure you did. I feel like a lot of these people that say that are lying. And they only say that to make themselves look good. I feel like a lot of them had concerns about Force Awakens like I did. But also had some optimism that there was a vision from Lucasfilm and that they had hopes, like me, that Last Jedi would make sense and it would lead to an amazing second movie and like an amazing third movie. So anyone that says they automatically knew that Force Awakens was going to be bad, I had trouble believing them. Oh shit. What are you hiding in here for? How dare you? Well, he's not hiding anymore, is he? All right, so let's use the old handy dandy map. I think that's Bob. So I think we're getting close to old Bob, Gentleman Bob Graham, the main antagonist of the game. We just got to find a way to get to him. But we will, don't worry. And then we will get the Marshal's daughter back, and then we will call it a day. But, I mean, I guess the question we could ask is, okay, well, what would have you done with the sequel trilogy? I mean, the time jump obviously makes sense, because obviously the main actors that played Luke, Leia, Han are a little older, so you had to do a time jump on them, didn't you? I mean, it just made sense. Okay, I think... Can we go in here? Okay, I need the brass key, so I gotta find the brass key. A time jump made sense. But at the same time, I feel like they shouldn't have just destroyed the New Republic like they did, especially in such a lazy way with Starkiller Base, which is just, I guess in the end it became canonically what, Elam, where the Jedi would take younglings to get their kyber crystals. And it's also featured in, which Jedi game is it featured in? Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor? But either way, one of the missions, Cal Kestis has to go to Elam, right? And it's obvious that the Empire's there and they're mining it, right? And it looks like they're slowly turning it into Starkiller Base. So I guess that kind of explains why Starkiller Base was a super weapon, because they spent literally decades secretly turning it into a super weapon, just like with building the Death Star, but much larger. And I guess using the kyber crystals that were already on Elam. So I guess that's how you connect those dots, I suppose. But why destroy the New Republic? Why not just destroy like a fleet or something? Or it would have been interesting if Star Wars was actually, I don't know, Star Wars. I think I would have it more like Clone Wars, right? Where you'd have the First Order rise up, and then it would get a major victory, but it wouldn't destroy the New Republic. At the very least, there would still be like a fleet left, and the Resistance would regroup with the New Republic, and it would be like a full-fledged war across the galaxy, right? And after the end of Force Awakens, you know, some time's gone by, and Luke has been busy training Rey on Octo, and Luke also, turns out, he has a few other apprentices on Octo as well, because he hasn't been sitting there just waiting to die. You know, he's been working hard, preparing to rejoin the fight, you know. And then the Knights of Ren would get featured more, and they would actually have Force abilities, because they're supposed to. And they'd also have lightsabers, so it would be like Luke's Jedis with him and Rey and Finn, because Finn was proven to be Force sensitive. And the other apprentices would end up fighting, you know, Kylo Ren and the rest of the Knights of Ren, right? So there'd be epic battles. And then, you know, there would be fights between Republic ships and First Order ships spanning across the galaxy. And yeah, in the second movie, the New Republic's losing the war. But eventually in the third movie, like, the New Republic does, with the help of everybody involved, turn the tide and ultimately defeat the First Order. And no, I wouldn't make Snoke to be Palpatine. Look, I know that Palpatine technically survives in the books, like Dark Empire trilogy. I read them when I was a kid. All right, they were cool. The concept is interesting. But let's be honest, it was done better in the expanded universe in Legends than in the movie. Especially with the stupid Exegol, like, planet-killing Star Destroyers. That was so fucking dumb. One dumb thing after another. Why do I talk about Star Wars? Because Star Wars is owned by Lucasfilm. And at one time, Lucasfilm had a gaming company called LucasArts, which made many amazing games, including this one. So it all makes sense. It all connects. There you go. That's how it all connects, right? So yeah, the sequel trilogy sucked, and I don't think that history is going to be kind to the sequel trilogy. Like, some people were like, oh, well, the prequel trilogies were shit on. Look, I love Phantom Menace, okay? It wasn't perfect, but I love Phantom Menace. Attack of the Clones, except for, Natalie Portman. It wasn't very good, we'll be honest. It had some interesting fight scenes. Like, Revenge of the Sith was amazing. But overall, I feel like there was a vision by George Lucas from start to finish when it came to the prequels. That is the mistake, well, one of many mistakes that Disney made. They had no vision, start to finish, for the sequel trilogy. They should have had one director running the whole thing from start to finish. Like, I don't know, J.J. Abrams or Rian Johnson. Look, I think Rian Johnson's a really good director and a good writer. But the problem is, you had two conflicting visions. And they didn't really work so well together. And, like, Ryan's vision conflicted with JJ's vision, from episode 7 to episode 8. And then when they brought back JJ, then there was more recons and redos and vision confliction again from episode 8 to episode 9. And it's like, it just doesn't feel like it works together. It's a hot mess. So, like, instead of working with what they were left with Last Jedi, like, this is what Colin Trevorrow was going to do. Because I also did a video about his first draft, a Duel of the Fates. And I felt like the first draft of Duel of the Fates worked a lot better to connect episodes 7 and 8 than Rise of Skywalker. And it's unfortunate that didn't end up being our episode 9. Because it was, once again, it was just a first draft. And I think it was after Carrie Fisher passed away. And this is like a year before episode 8 comes out. And Colin Trevorrow, from what I remember, I did a video about this as well in the Star Wars playlist. Like, he was campaigning for Luke's character to be saved, not to be killed off, so that Luke could be featured more in episode 9. Actually alive, not a Force ghost. While at the same time, like, Carrie Fisher's character would, somewhere in between episode 8 and 9, pass away because, unfortunately, the actress passed away, right? But Kathleen Kennedy refused. She refused to do it. And then, ultimately, it led to a falling out between her and Colin Trevorrow. And Colin Trevorrow left work on episode 9, so they brought back JJ. And, well, that worked out really well, didn't it? So I don't know why Kathleen Kennedy was so obsessed with just getting rid of Luke so badly. It would have been so easy. You just have him sitting there on the rock, right? And before he Force ghosts, with somehow his mechanical hand not staying there and also disappearing, like it should have just fell to the ground. I'm just saying. Like, just have it to where you just have a final vision of him just sitting there. And then that way, you're like, okay, well, what's Luke up to? Is he about to join the fight? Maybe. And then people are like, well, he did all that force projection shit against Kylo. It weakened him. But Luke was extremely powerful in the Force, just like his father was. I mean, yeah, it might have weakened him a little bit. Maybe he had to take a nap or a breather. But did it have to kill Luke? No, it didn't have to kill Luke. I mean, especially since they already knew that Kathleen Kennedy wasn't going to be in episode 9. Well, they did their magic to, I guess, make a version of Leia in episode 9, which just didn't work. It really didn't. But instead of doing that, they could have simply just said that Leia passed away somewhere in between episode 8 and 9. And then Luke had continued, like, alongside with Rey and Finn and others fighting the First Order. But whatever. It is what it is. I've complained about it enough. And there's not really much you can do about it. It's all in the past. And no, I don't think the sequel trilogy should be retconned because, I mean, you could retcon it because, I mean, a lot of other things have been retconned over the years, movie-wise. And so, I mean, I guess they would. I mean, I wouldn't complain if it was retconned. I wouldn't give a shit. But to be honest, I'm kind of burnt out with Star Wars at the moment. Now, they do have a few games that they got in the pipeline, but some of these games have been announced and haven't gone anywhere, like Star Wars Eclipse. That was announced a few years ago. Still nothing on Star Wars Eclipse. The KOTOR remake, which I was excited about because I love KOTOR. And I love the Old Republic era. You know, that was announced years ago. And still no word on whether or not we're ever going to get a KOTOR remake. There's also rumors of maybe a KOTOR 2 remake. And now we have word about the new Old Republic game, Fate of the Old Republic. It was announced. But the problem is that game is in extremely early development. Once again, these studios will hype a game that's nowhere near finished, that's probably many years away, like at least 4 or 5 years away, with a trailer, and it doesn't end up being the final product. Now maybe we'll live up to the hype of this teaser trailer, right? Because I think there is a guy attached. There is a guy attached to Fate of the Old Republic that was part of KOTOR, so that's promising. And he says that the game is going to get out before 2030, but a lot of people don't believe it. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, I don't want it rushed out the door, but like, how long are we going to have to wait for Fate of the Old Republic? How long are we going to have to wait for Eclipse or the KOTOR remake, or possibly even a KOTOR 2 remake? And, of course, Jedi 3. You know, I want to see the third game in the Cal Kestis saga, even if the first two games made me extremely salty in my playthroughs, which, yes, those are also up on the channel in case you want to go watch me get really freaking salty playing Jedi Fallen Order and especially Jedi Survivor. So, I guess if they ever come out with Jedi 3, I will probably play that. No, most likely. I'll most likely get salty playing Jedi 3. Yeah. So we got that. And we do have a new game. We have a Galactic Racer coming out. Star Wars Galactic Racer, which, you know, as someone who loved the Pod Racer game when I was a kid on my N64, I'm excited about that. I hope it's good. And, of course, we got Old Man Sebulba. So many people were excited to see Old Man Sebulba. And no, he didn't die in Phantom Menace. He was defeated by Anakin, okay? Little Annie defeated him. A lot of people were like, I thought he died. Like, no, he didn't die. He just lost the race. But, yeah, so we got Old Man Sebulba. Of course, a lot of people were like wondering about, well, is Ben Quadinero safe? Is he all right? Well, who knows? Maybe Ben Quadineros is still around. I mean, it is set during the New Republic period. And look, I mean, I guess duds, maybe they have a similar lifespan to humans. Maybe they live longer than humans. And maybe that's true for whatever species Ben Quadineros is. I don't know. We'll see. But I hope it's a good game. And it's supposed to come out in 2026. There's like a solo player campaign, and then there's going to be multiplayer too. So I think that's good. Best of both worlds. And hopefully both are good. And hopefully I sort out how to find my way to Bob, because I would like to have a chat with Bob that involves this gun and the bullets in this gun and taking him from being alive and talking trash, safe and sound, to no longer being alive. And, of course, getting the Marshal's daughter back and riding off into the sunset and wrapping up this playthrough. That is my plan. Found some dynamite. Dynamite. Yay. Now I just need to blow some shit up. I mean, I've been looking at every other building trying to find the brass key to no avail. And I need the brass key, I think, to go into the final room, or Bob's office, where he's hiding right now, talking trash. Telling me to say goodbye to my daughter and blaming me for everything, when at the end of the day, it's your fault, jerk. You're the one that became greedy and decided you wanted a city with your name on it. Well, did that city have to include the Marshal's land? No, it didn't. You probably have plenty of land. Besides, it's going to take a while to build a city anyways. You got to first, build a couple buildings, right? you know, a small village, okay? And, you know, that's going to include probably a sheriff's office or a marshal's office. You know, a saloon, you got to have a saloon. And probably a doctor's office. And maybe like a gunsmith. And then you want a blacksmith for the horses. And then you probably want to have a nice brothel, you know. Yeah, that too. And a hotel, which usually the hotels are also brothels. They served multi-purposes back in the day. So you start off small, right? And then you have a main street. And then you have some homes built, right? And then you have some more. You have like a store come in, like a shop, where you can like buy shovels and buy pickaxes and maybe buy some clothes. And then over time, it goes from like being a village to a town. And then maybe eventually a city. See, you were just a few steps ahead of yourself, Bob. You could be content with just having a village or a town with your name on it and then slowly expand in time. But who knows? Maybe you could have gone and sweet-talked the marshal into becoming, well, the marshal of your town, village, city, whatever. But there's that other problem. Yeah, the marshal would have eventually realized that you were the one that was responsible for his dad's death. So, yeah, I don't think it would have worked out between you and the marshal, Bob. All right, I think I finally figured out what to do. So I have to push down that button. I got to jump down there to a secret room. And I figured it out without looking it up. I just wasn't recording at the moment. I saved the recording so that it'd gone on for like an hour. And yeah, I do edit it down. So I'm guessing there is a purpose to this. Hopefully, unless I'm just trapped in here forever. All right, so there's got to be a method to the madness for coming in here. Or is it just for this shit? I guess that's it. I went through all that trouble. Like, in here for nothing. So this leads to absolutely nothing. Oh, wait. Wait, that was something. I wonder if there's like a way in here. Oh, I think there is. Hold on. Oh, okay. I got some bullets. Okay. So there's a secret entrance to the fireplace. Okay. So that'll take me down here. Okay. Alright, so that took me down here. Okay. Gotta be sneaky. Because I kept looking around at fireplaces. Because, you know, there was those two fireplaces you could go through. Because I've just been trying to find some sort of secret. And for some reason I kept thinking about fireplaces. And I looked at it for a moment. I'm like, wait a minute. There's something beyond the fireplace. And, well, there we go. I was able to sneak my way through the fireplace. Like, oh. Finally some progress. It took a quick minute, admittedly. Oh, he's tough. Alright. I guess he was one of his henchmen, so let's go ahead and save the game real quick. We still need the brass key, though. So, that's the only way we can get up to Bob. So, it has to be down here. Alright. Gatling gun, nice, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the Gatling gun, but I'd much rather have the brass key. Where's, oh, there's the, that might be cool. But at this point, do I really need the Gatling gun? Alright, I wonder if I can... There must be something about this, right? Like this one little room here? But I don't know. I wish I could jump up there. Okay, maybe I can jump on that one. And then jump over to this one. And then that one. And then that one. And then, I guess... Aha, hi guys. There we go. Surprise! That's one way to get up here. Oh, is that it? That it? Ah, we got the brass key. Oh, Bob, Bob, Bob. Oh, sweet piece of shit. Not so gentleman, Bob. I have bad news for you, Bob. Very bad news. You want to hear the bad news? I found the damn key! Now, you leave my little girl alone, you son of a bitch. Alright, I guess we have to keep that stationary. That's fine. I don't need a Gatling gun to kill your ass. You and me are going to do this the old-fashioned way. Oh. Ow. Alright, I got back up here. I can't believe I just died there. That's embarrassing, but well, I get one-shotted by the first boss, so I guess it's fitting I get one-shotted by the last boss. Take two. Action. Got him! If only I would have got him on the first attempt.
Sarah. You afraid of dying? It was you. You shot my father. And now I'm gonna shoot you.
Boom. That's right. Took his ass down. Good job, daughter. See, she helped avenge not only her mom, but also her grandfather. So, works out. Well, except for Bob. It didn't work out for Bob or the rest of his goons. That's awesome. See, they get to go off in the sunset and start over. But yeah, what an amazing game. I'm so glad I got a chance to replay it. So thanks again to Night Dive Studios for like remastering it. And of course I had to die at the end. That was embarrassing. I think I got too cocky. I just stood there like an idiot and he just blasted me. Just like the first boss, right? But whatever, it is what it is, you know. I never claimed to be the best gamer, and I died a few times playing through this game as a kid. But yeah, what an amazing game. And the soundtrack's amazing, the story's really good, the characters, and you know, props to everyone behind the game at LucasArts that made this game long ago, back in the 90s. And it's a shame that we never got a sequel. I mean, even if it just followed his daughter, right? But I guess it's a good like story from start to finish. You know, has a Western film vibe to it. You know, you've probably seen something similar in many Western films. All amazing, by the way. You know, the retired marshal who just wants to live the life with his wife and daughter, and cruel fate. Unfortunately leads to, his daughter being kidnapped, his wife being killed, and then the marshal's quest for revenge, and ultimately getting back his daughter, and also avenging the deaths of his wife and, well, his father, because, Bob was also responsible for his death too. Is that a bit of a coincidence? Yeah, just a little too much of a coincidence. But I guess it works for the story. But was it necessary? Probably not, because of the reality that he already had enough reason to hate Bob, for his wife's death and for kidnapping his daughter. But it was writing, but decent writing for its time for an FPS. I think it was pretty good for an FPS back in the 90s. And I really enjoyed playing this game when I was a kid, just like I enjoyed playing all those other LucasArts games that I mentioned over the years. And I know it's been decades since a lot of these people worked on this game. I hope that a lot of them went on to amazing careers making other games. And hopefully they're all living their best life, those that are still with us. And those that have unfortunately passed on to the sunset, thank you for doing your part to make such a wonderful game that I got to play when I was a kid back in the late 90s. Struggling through high school, through my demons, my own problems that I've mentioned in previous episodes. And at the very least, this gave me a bit of escapism in other games and times I spent with my friends. And, the game means a lot to me. And so do all those other games I've talked about. But yeah, I'd sit in my room, just playing this. And, it really, really helped. Because it was hard, it was hard growing up. And I've talked about that in previous episodes. I'm not going to go over any of that again. But, I persevered. I didn't have the worst, childhood. I had far from the best childhood. I made mistakes when I was a teenager. Mistakes I obviously got in serious trouble for. But I feel like I paid the price for my mistakes. I was punished. And, eventually, I think in the grand scheme of things, I became a better person because I learned that, revenge isn't the answer. It usually just ends up getting you in worse trouble. But, I managed to get my act together and pass the classes I needed to pass in order to graduate from high school. But, it was because of the times playing with video games and the times I had with the friends I did have, that helped me get through high school, that helped me graduate, and the goal of actually trying to do something with my life and starting over with a clean slate after high school, moving to Louisiana and going off to college, and then eventually, a few years in radio. Top 10 quotes during the game. I was up till 2 in the morning. There's a little engine bug. I once said everything was driving me crazy. Gameplay is king. Yeah, these are amazing. I haven't read these in years. One, do we have enough left in the food budget for a keg? Top 10 signs you've been testing Outlaws just a little too long. God, these devs had such a funny sense of humor. But you can tell they put a lot of love and time and passion, blood, sweat, and tears, and probably some frustration. Your first bug on Jedi Knight, more chickens. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do appreciate the hard work behind the scenes from all these games I play. And that's why whenever I finish a game, I always sit back and talk and allow the credits to roll, to acknowledge all these hard-working individuals that made this game and so many other games that we have enjoyed over the past several years and decades. Without these people, we wouldn't have these games. So I lift my cup to you all and enjoy some hot cocoa. Yeah, I'm drinking hot cocoa. It's cold right now. It's like 40 degrees outside. But yeah, I feel like video games have been a very important part of my life. My grandfather got me into video games in television. From the Nintendo that my stepsister and I fought over, to all the other game consoles I played on by myself and with friends. Weekends, instead of out partying, we would just hang out playing the PS1. Or me playing hours and hours on the N64, Super Nintendo before that. And eventually GameCube, and then PS2, the original Xbox, and other consoles I've gotten over the years. And I've always looked back at, the games that I played before those consoles, including Outlaws, and I always longed for a chance to come back and play this game again. And I'm so glad I got the opportunity to go back and not only play this game, but also a year ago, Dark Forces. And who knows, maybe they'll do remasters of a few other games that I played that were once part of the golden age of LucasArts. Hey, look, the sequel to Dark Knight, I mean, yeah, it's Dark Forces, definitely. Like I mentioned, I would love an X-Wing TIE Fighter with both games. That would be amazing. I'd love to go back and play that. But yeah, thank you, George Lucas, for the Star Wars universe, for Lucasfilm, for LucasArts, for all this amazing content and games and movies and TV shows. And no thank you, Kathleen Kennedy. I know I saw her name appear. She didn't deserve any credit at all. But once again, thank you so much, everyone, for watching my Let's Play of Outlaws Remaster. Sorry some of the episodes went on a little too long. I ramble. I talk about things from my childhood because, you know, this game brings back those memories, right, from when I was a teenager. I think I'm a much better person than I was back then. Of course, I was a teenager. I mean, you grow, right? You learn from your mistakes. You hope to get better and do better. At least that's the idea, right? Unfortunately, some people, they don't, sadly. But I feel like I've gone on a much better path since the times of my teens. And big thanks to my friends. Big thanks to, you know, people that cared about me in my life. You know, some family members. And, you know, of course, my love of video games, helping me through some rough patches in my life. You know, from my teens, even my early 20s and college, after high school, and all the way up to now, you know. I love games, and I guess I'll continue to play games for the rest of my days. But anyways, thank you once again for playing. We're watching me play Outlaws Remaster. And if you enjoyed this playthrough on your way out the door, be sure and drop a like.